CTV News at 6 with Hudson Mack.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. Cities across North America are telling their Occupy protesters time is up. But in Victoria, the city is taking a go slow approach. City lawyers were in court today looking for a judge to evict the campers from Centennial Square, but it could be at least 2 days before that happens. In Vancouver and in Toronto, officials have begun the steps of taking down the Occupy movement. And in New York, Occupy Wall Street was cleared out in the dead of night. CTV's Stephen Andrew has more.
Let's go!
Swift, decisive, and a show of force so strong, the message is clear. Time has run out for Occupy Wall Street. Hundreds of New York police officers, many in riot gear, moved in early this morning, dismantling tents and arresting as many as 200 protesters. The NYPD says mounting health and safety issues prompted the surprise raid. In Toronto, similar concerns, except here, officials plastered tents with eviction notices and bylaw violations.
It's absurd. They're taking away the right to freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, for the sake of a bylaw.
Morning, guys. How are you?
In Vancouver, again, more safety concerns as fire officials conduct a surprise early morning inspection. And in Victoria, lawyers for the city were back in court asking a judge to evict campers.
There, we still support the right for our citizens for freedom to assemble. As you know, we're just taking away the chattels.
The city says the tents need to be removed from Centennial Square to make way for a number of Christmas celebrations. Protesters, meanwhile, say they're willing to move to accommodate those events, and they're asking the court to give them more time to mount a defense.
BC Supreme Court judge says protesters have until 10 a.m. on Monday.
We're going to come with a large stack of affidavits, and as well as the best argument that we can prepare in that time, and then we'll see what happens.
The protesters say 2 days isn't enough to mount a charter argument, but whatever the judge decides on Thursday, the movement is already planning further events for the spring.
Stephen Andrew joins us now with more on the story. Stephen, the campers in Victoria appear to be trying to focus their message. What's the next step for the group?
Well, I mean, they're working tonight at 7 o'clock. They're going to have a meeting to decide what the response they're going to put to that court action. They have to get those documents into the court and to the city by 4 o'clock tomorrow, Hudson, for that 10 o'clock appearance on Thursday morning. The judge originally had been asked for a 2-week adjournment, but she says, nope, this thing needs to get moving. The city's saying they're going to have to move very quickly. But now the protesters are realizing that they need to get their message focused, as you say, and what they're trying to do is really attract attention to the inadequacy, they say, of some of the services that are available to many of the people that are now living in that camp.
And briefly, Stephen, a charter argument, if they choose to go that route, won't necessarily work because the city permits demonstrations, but not camping out in the square.
Yeah, they certainly are going to have a hard time trying to convince the judge that this is an infringement on their rights to assembly and free speech, because the city does permit many protesters, and we've covered them over in Centennial Square. The city says, look, if you want to protest, you need a permit, and simply put, that they need to have the square available for everyone, not just an exclusive group of people.
All right, we'll watch and see what happens in court. Stephen, thank you.
You're welcome.